I think first of all, these new deputy ministerial nominations support the whole idea about how youthful the president wants his cabinet or ministerial appointees to be. I mentioned the last time that if you look at even the substantive ministers, to a large extent, these are people within their 40s and early 50s. And if you look at the list that was released yesterday, it follows the same pattern. Persons who are within their 40s and early 50s. And so I think to a large extent, we are seeing a youthful team being put together. The other point for me is also to look at the backgrounds of these recent nominees and, of course, the previous substantive appointees. And for some of them, you see a parliamentary background in the sectors that they've been appointed to on the basis of committees that they had served in Parliament. But for others, you don't really get a link. But of course, being a minister is really not about being a professional or an expert in the particular sector. That's why the bureaucrats are there to serve as experts. Of course, for positions like the Attorney General's office, you certainly must have somebody who is a lawyer. And to see Justice Rimsai appointed, I think is one that I would say is quite good. Justice is a very, very smart guy. We were together in Legon. We served together in the General Assembly or the university's parliament together. And he was an astute debater. I think at some point he even became the speaker. And whilst in school, this African moot courts competition, I think he actually emerged as the best from Africa, has a master's in law from Harvard and Cardiff. And I think he's also represented clients on a number of human rights cases. So for me, that's a very, very good appointment. Of course, it's one thing being great in practice and another thing being great in government. I just hope that he would deliver well and support his minister, Dominic Ayeni, who is also an accomplished academic. And by the way, Justice Srimsai, until recently, actually is still in academia. And so we look forward to seeing robust and efficient justice delivery from the AG's department. I think from the background of Gisela Tete Abuti, and I have a friend who had in one conversation actually mentioned her as somebody who is a very, very accomplished architect. And in the field of architecture, she's well recognized. And so going to Wexenhausen, I think is the right place to go. She's been a consultant architect for close to 2 decades and all of that. And I can only wish him well. I think little is known about this Ampem Dakon nominee for Deputy Finance Minister. As I said, I think fairly young. I think he's 46, if I'm not mistaken. Has an MSc in finance. But apart from that, I think he essentially served on the Budget Committee, the Finance Committee of Parliament. And if I can recall, at some point he was the finance officer for the Interministerial Committee on Decentralization. That was set up under the Mahama administration. And I should also add that I think people who served on that committee, for some reasons, appear to be catching the eye of the president. If you recall, the executive secretary to the president now, Dr. Callistus Mahama.
Yes, was also on that committee.
Served as that. And I think Yusuf Jaja, the MP for Ayawaso North, also served on that interministerial committee on decentralization. And I think he also comes from Bole. And I think the Bole angle is something that we must explore a little bit more because, as you know, the president himself is from Bole.
He used to be the MP.
Yes, he used to be the MP. And then you have Yusuf Jaja, who, of course, is an MP for Ayawaso North, but also hails from Bole. And then another Yusuf Sulemana, who is the incumbent MP for Bole, is also the nominee for Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister. So I think there's some Bole connections and Bole power play happening somewhere.